Good, beautiful morning, everybody. This is the beginning of the seventh year of Shortcuts for Your Soul as a live show. And this entire channel was created under the direction of my guides and ascended masters that work with and through me for the express purpose of providing information, ideas, and experiences that would allow people to make a decision about where their consciousness would go towards. And throughout these 7 years, there have been two things we've talked about primarily that we all face every single day in our lives. One of these two choices you make in every instant you breathe and live. We have a choice. We all have this choice to choose between love or fear. There's no middle ground here. The choice for your awakening is through love. Your choice for suffering and I'll use the term damnation is fear, because fear leads to damnation. I've lived in deep fear in my past. I've been a drug addict, and I've been an alcoholic, and I've been depressed and anxious. And I do have a group with me today called The Ascended. And this choice that you're faced with every moment can easily be identified whether it is from love or fear. Every thought, every word, every action that we can ever perform is going to be either from the birth of love or the birth of fear. And over these last few days, as a brother of peace and love and compassion was brutally murdered / assassinated, we've gotten a chance to see what many of us want to, how many of us are actually awakening. And I'm really proud to say, from what I've observed, what they've told me, is the Great Awakening is now becoming a conscious, functional choice universally throughout humanity. That the choice to choose love over fear, peace over violence, compassion over ignorance, we're now beginning to see it emerge back into human collective unconscious as you watched the celebrations of a godly man's passage through this time and space. And yes, I'm referring to Charlie Kirk. I've spoken to many people and reached out to many people who celebrated his murder. And they would all say the same thing. He was misogynistic, he was evil, he was a Nazi, had all these things. And what verifiable evidence do you have to support that claim? And I've reached out to probably 150 to 200 people. And not one of them has gotten back to me with any form of evidence, proof, or truth that this man was anything other than what certain political elite groups have painted him as. Because most people take their ideas from education, university, colleges, public schools. Most people get their information from those places. Their teachers, the professors, the fellow students, the curriculum that gets created by certain groups and propagated and downloaded into systems. And even all of this can either come from love or fear. Every function of human knowledge and wisdom, it's important you understand this, because there are many awakening to love's function now all over the world, celebrating it through the divine Christ within. All over the world, celebrating God's love as Christ within. And what the Ascended have been telling me is that the process of awakening is now becoming globally conscious, where the function of love is beginning to reclaim its traction from the satanic evil that has gripped humanity for these last 2,000 years, since the murder of another godly man some 2,000 years ago. And all we have predominantly tried to communicate to you that you have in your everyday lives but two choices to make. In any instant you live, move, or breathe, you have the choice to live from love or to live from fear. And by their fruits you shall know what it is you are living by. What your experience is. If you are suffering, then chances are you are living from a function or a belief of fear. It may not be your fault. You may have been taught to think and feel and believe a certain way, to act a certain way. I've witnessed on this planet in the last 15, 20 years where people have been taught to believe that they can't control their own emotions. People have been taught to believe they have no control over their emotions, yet your emotions are the very energetic substance that allows you to create your experiences. And whether you're an experience of love or an experience of fear, or experience of disease or health, the functions of love and the functions of fear have very, very different effects upon your life. So we're at this beautiful pivotal point. That's what they're telling me. We're at a pivotal point, all of us. Not some of us, all of us, where we are now choosing. Everybody's making this choice, particularly in these last few days. And you need to honor your choice of love or fear, because whatever you choose, each function of consciousness leads to very different creative experiences. The acts of love and the acts of fear, which are like violence and aggression, they both produce their own result. And wherever there is war and death, there is fear has been the dominant energy that's allowed to be fueled there. Fear is responsible for all the suffering of humanity, not some of it, all of it. And the children of fear, such things as greed, lust, there's an uncontrolled desire, rage, anger, impatience, irritation. But particularly greed and lust, these two have really harmed the human soul in ways that will take some time to correct. But through the function and choice to live from love, this transformation can unfold very deliberately. So when we come to you today, it's to remind you that the challenges and difficulty that you see in the world are simply that which has been brought to the forefront. These choices that we have been saying to you for the last 6 years, you must choose love or fear. We are now seeing the fruit of love and fear, these fruit upon their own trees and how they appear. Those of you that would celebrate death would celebrate evil. And indeed, you are doing so when you celebrate the death of any individual. You are in fact living from a place of fear. We simply want you to know that you will always have that choice to a point. For there are places and degrees in consciousness that are more beneficent than others. The concepts of heaven and hell, while they apply to our process of creation here, are actually dimensional places that exist. The functions of what you would call heaven and hell are dimensional places that actually exist. One is the product and manifestation of love, and the other is the product and the manifestation of fear. And you must evaluate this in your own heart, particularly now, because the pathway is getting narrower. There will be no room for those that live in fear in a place where there is love. the statement, the term, the concept, the idea of repentance is not about you having done something necessarily evil, but having not made a choice to serve, love, or fear. To serve, love, or fear. You cannot choose both. Although many of you will vacillate throughout the day, you'll be good one moment and not so good the next moment. You'll be kind to a person one moment and not kind to another. But again, this is confusion, and it does not make for a very beneficent outcome at the time when you transition from the physical form to the dimension of the energetic manifestation of your consciousness. We've always maintained in these last 7 years that the function of consciousness that you have to choose between is the function of love or the function of fear. And that function of love and fear lives upon all planes of the human existence. Do you love and honor and cherish your body? Do you love, honor, and cherish your body? Do you treat it with respect, with care, with compassion, with kindness, with patience? Do you keep it healthy, strong, and vital? Do you treat it the way it is supposed to? These are acts of love. How you treat your body will demonstrate a function of love or a function of not love. For you can treat your body in very destructive and harmful ways and still say, oh, I'm okay, I'm allowed to do this, but your body suffers. And the same with the mind. In the realm of your thoughts, there are thoughts that are beneficent and loving, and there are thoughts that are fearful and debilitating and destructive. And each and every one of us has the choice in every moment to choose love or fear. And let us ask you, when you celebrate the death of a human being, is that an act of love or an act of fear? An act of good or an act of evil? You can make whatever choice you will, but the end result cannot be denied. If you make choices that are fearfully based, and you choose to believe that those choices are from love when they are not, you can delude yourself with an illusion of truth. But when the time comes where you depart from this physical dimension, the truth of your choice will become very apparent to you. When we came and began to speak through this one, it was for the primary goal of assisting humanity in restoring themselves collectively to the function of love and not the function of fear. That the function of love and the functions of fear have very different effects in your existence in this physical dimension. Functions of love result in the creation and respect and the ennoblement of life in all of its forms. That recognizes the function, meaning, and value of truth and wisdom and knowledge. And you always have that choice to choose between love or to choose between fear, but you will not escape the outcome. It is like you build a building, but you put something improperly measured in the building, and the building goes askew. It turns direction and falls down because it was not built on solid ground. And you can continue building and say, oh no, it'll be fine, it'll be fine until it falls over. And we've encountered many of you in the process of crossing over. Many of you in the process of crossing over, where you cry and you scream, what happened? Why am I going to this place? And we simply say, you made choices. And that does not mean that you cannot still change your function of choice, even in the darkest of spaces and places and times. There is always the function of what you would call, in your conventional terms, redemption. But redemption requires an act of willful choice. So that even in hell you may choose to serve love, and liberate yourself from such a place. Even if your life, you might define it in this world as a living hell, you may still choose to align yourself to the function of love and begin the correction in your course from fear back to the heart of the divine creator. You are at a turning point, individually and collectively. And those of you that have made the choice towards love, well, your reward will be love. And those who have made the choice to be in fear, well, your reward will be fear. And we cannot tell you precisely what that will be, other than that one will be good and one will be not so good. We could say to you that one would result in your being in a place energetically you would call heaven, and the other would result in a place you existing called energetically called hell. Thoughts create energetic qualities that create effects, measurable effects in your human experience. And so you look around yourself, look in your own heart today. For if you cannot find the truth to support what you are saying about another, then it is better not to say it at all. Now, I've spent the last, like I said, few days reaching out. Yeah, just give me a moment. And not one person that I've asked, you say this person is a misogynist, you say this person is racist, you say they're all this, where's the evidence? Where and on what do you base the truth of your statement? And nobody's gotten back to me. I've reached out, made 150 different requests for information from people who've made this accusation that this person, this father, this husband, was these things that they claim. Not one has gotten back to me. Not one. Because there's no evidence. None whatsoever. And, celebrating the death of anybody is a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. And they wanted me to say, yes, I will. So now they want me to communicate to you this truth, that many of you are celebrating death instead of celebrating life because you've been taught to believe that life is meaningless. In the process, for example, of what you call abortion. In that process, the function of convenience has taken precedence over the value of life. And many of you will rage and anger at us for telling you this. And we don't care. But what we do care about is you making a choice and a decision that you never would have made had somebody not given you the idea to tell you that to believe that to kill life is good. And there is evidence that so many of you would celebrate the death of a godly man. That so many of you would celebrate the death of a godly man. And say that that is good. And so we understand that many of you are making that choice not because there's reason and intelligence behind it, but because you have been conditioned by your systems of learning to believe that life is not important and valuable. That lies over truth is preferable to truth. And if we are coming across sternness, it is because we must. For there are hundreds of millions of us that are awakening, and there's hundreds and millions of us who are choosing to remain asleep. And it's to you that we speak. You that are asleep, those who are awake know they are awake. Those who celebrate and cherish life in all of its form. They do not need to hear this. It is you that lives in anger, in fear, in judgment, unrighteous judgment, who have simply accepted what the dark ones have told you to believe. And you've been trained to think us against them. So it is you that suffer that we speak to, you that live in fear, that celebrate death, that treat the conception of life as an inconvenience. And you were given the gift of life, that you would give that gift to others, that you would offer life to others, not deny them that life. So it is those of you that live in fear that have been conditioned by the dark ones. And they have been running this world of your humanity for some 2,000 years. Some 2,000 years, they've had lots of time to perfect how they could manipulate one group of you into a cohesive, functioning organization, and then pitch you against another cohesive organization, and then it's us against them. And they've done this very well. When you see the truth presented as a lie, or a lie presented as a truth, you will know that you are being deceived. Many of your educational systems are not educating you at all. They're giving you doctrines and dogma. They're not teaching you about life. They're teaching you judgment and separation and division. Systems which are designed to educate you are doing the exact opposite. And so to you that believes that life should be celebrated when it ends, that the acts of murder and violence, it's you that need to understand you need to change your consciousness from fear to love. There are consequences to living in fear. And anger is a function of fear. Rage is a function of fear. Disrespect is a function of fear. And if you live in fear, the energy of fear, you are building a place that you will live in when you leave this physical dimension. Your emotional energy constructs reality. And so the concept of heaven and hell is based on this principle, the knowingness of great masters and teachers throughout your histories, that were able to easily say, be of love or be of fear, that there are these places that you will go to. The literal construction of a place of hell, such as the burning fires, is not too far off, for the vibration of fear is very unpleasant and uncomfortable. Those of you that have believed that you are living in uncontrolled anxiety or uncontrolled depression because you've been taught to believe that you cannot regulate your emotions. You've been taught to believe you cannot control what your thoughts and feelings are. You just think this way, you just feel this way. No, you do not. You've been taught to think or believe or act a certain way, and you may choose to question it or leave it unquestioned. And again, I challenge any of you that live in fear, that celebrate death, that celebrated the murder of a godly man. I ask you, present the truth. What evidence, what facts, what words were spoken, what acts were done that would cause you to accept that truth. Tell us. Or did you just accept what some leader told you? They're misogynistic, they're evil, they're this. Did you just accept what somebody told you? Because in accepting things without question, you do yourself a great disservice. At least you do yourself a great disservice. You do those who propagate evil and darkness and vileness, you do them a service when you simply accept what they tell you without question, without evaluation, without consideration. You do yourself a disservice when you do not evaluate and question why you have the thoughts you have and where they are originated. Those of you that live from the love in your heart, from your communion with the divine that you've been building, these words are not so much for you as it is for those who suffer. You did not come into this world to suffer. You came into this world to learn the art of creation, to be able to understand the polarities of love and fear and how they affect the creative process for yourself as an individual. Do you treat your body with the love and respect it deserves? Do you? Or have you been led to be confused about who you think you are? Because there's great confusion sown in the minds of humanity. But that confusion is being destroyed now. As those of love, compassion, truth, and kindness, the children of the divine, the great awakening is well underway. Those who say we celebrate life, we celebrate love, we celebrate goodness, we celebrate truth, we celebrate compassion. This turning point has now been reached. And we are hoping that all of humanity will begin to pivot on this together. We hope that you that have been trapped in the fear and the dogma given to you by those dark ones that have taken over your political chambers and your social chambers, your educational halls, that you can break free of the dogma implanted in your mind that would put you against your brothers and sisters. We hope that you will do this, that you will make this choice, because we want you to be free of suffering. And only the way to love and truth will lead to the liberation of your suffering. Whereas fear and all of its children, its greed, its lust, its rage, its anger, its deceptiveness, will lead you to a very different place into which you will enter, into which many of you are living right now. So those of you that live in fear, we say to you, our love, our hope, our peace we send to you, in hopes that you yourself may turn within and evaluate why you think and believe as you do. And what evidence does the thinking that you have in your mind, what evidence do you have to support that thinking? Because we know that many of you have been simply taught to believe or think this. You've been taught. You didn't choose this. You were not born hating. You were not born angry. You were not born depressed. You were not born anxious. You were not born this way. And it is still your responsibility, even though the world may have done you disservice. These dark ones have infected your mind with evil. You are still the sole caretaker of your mind and body. You may still stand forth between your mind and anyone else and say, no, I will not accept this thought until I know if it is true or not. And you must question your own thoughts and where they originated. Because the depravity, the greed, the horror that is propagated by the evil has no care about you and your suffering. So even though you may parrot and agree with them, they will not care about it in the end when you have to pay the price for the conditioning that was given to you by the dark ones. And on the other side of this, we would say it is time for great celebration. For now, the children of the divine, the children of love, are awakening and joining together. This momentum must be kept up, and we will continue to provide this message that in every moment, no matter how dark you are, no matter how good you are, you must always become conscious of the reality that in every moment of your existence, there are only two choices that you can live from, and it's the choice to be of love or the choice to be of fear. There are no other choices. Every thought, every moment of your existence, these two paths sit before you. And they do diverge. The further you go down one, the further you get away from the other, the harder it is to get back. And we will remain working through this one as long as time allows to continue articulating what we've been articulating for 7 years. And the repetitiveness of this message is essential, as your brains do learn through repetition. It is unfortunate that we don't have you for 7 hours a day to be present with us and consider what love is, to learn the practice of meditation, to learn to honor and cherish your body, to learn to honor and cherish your beautiful mind, to put your mind together with thoughts that are wondrous and noble and beautiful. Unfortunately, you have to deal with the real world of what man has made, of what the choices of fear have produced. And now you're at this pivotal point to choose love or fear. You're at this place. And we are at the doorway between them saying, come this way. Come to love. Come to compassion. Come to truth. Come to the divine. Return home. Return to love. Yes, the rewards of evil have been displayed as lavish wealth and power and control and authority. It has been displayed that way. And it has been grotesquely displayed in these last 15 years of your political history, where those dark ones will do almost anything to satisfy their insatiable lust and greed. Stealing children, murder, the sex traffic trade, forced slave indenturement by forced taxation, propagating frauds upon the people. Yes, the dark ones have no care for your well-being but their own. But even they will reap their reward. Even those who sit in the great halls of power, stealing the life of their citizens through war and greed, they will reap their reward. There is no escaping the effects of your own causes. And although it is said you can ask for redemption, but many of those ones that come to that place where they do meet the divine, they do meet good and evil incarnate, they meet it in those last moments. They see heaven and hell before them and the representatives of each. And they say to the one, would you please take me? I'm so sorry for what I did. He says, I cannot take you because your heart doesn't vibrate here. You can't come into a place that you're not in resonance with. And there is great sadness and terror and pain when you go with the dark one. I want to say on a personal note, I've been honored and privileged to deliver these messages from ascended masters, other multidimensional beings for the last 7 years. And I'm going to continue to be a vehicle for that as long as I can. And I just hope you guys are getting the message that it's just wonderful what's happening right now. It's right in front of everybody, for everybody to see. You can choose love or fear. Nobody can deny it now. No one can deny that these choices are before you now, before all humanity. And those that have already chosen love over fear, God bless you all. You are the light and the salt of the world. And I'm grateful that you have brought your light to us and that you share it with your brothers and sisters, even those that are in rage and anger. You know, when I felt Charlie's presence a few times, and it's been very moving to know that your existence does not end when the body ceases to function. And many people of faith understand that know the truth of life, know that life does not end with the body. But I really pray for those of you that are celebrating death. You have no idea what you're setting yourself up for. If you celebrate death and suffering of other people, you're setting yourself up for something. That's what you're worshiping. You're creating an altar that you'll end up finding yourself kneeling before the day of your transition from matter to consciousness, to a different state of consciousness. You have to wake the fuck up. I'm sorry, pardon my language, but you have to wake the fuck up. Please. Your anger, your rage, your uncontrolled emotional regulation, you are setting yourself up for a very horrible experience. Choose love. Begin to evaluate, what does love think, say, and do? Begin that process of evaluating. Those who are already doing it, just keep doing it. You're making the world a better place. And we're seeing love's face arise in virtually every major country. And it's going to become bigger than it's ever been before. Master Jesus is totally grateful about this. And yes, he was there with Charlie and is with Charlie. And they have not left this dimension. They are still working here. Those closest to him know that's true. They can feel his presence. And so, too, anybody that carries that heart of truth, that heart of love, will also know it. Will also know it. Hi. Good morning. Yeah, I was talking about those two places. There's heaven and there's hell. There's good and there's evil. Yeah, they'll take questions for sure. Good morning, William. Can you please send some healing energy over to me? I was challenged with a terrible fever over the weekend and now a toothache, headache. Hi, Kimberly. Yes, I'll be happy to do that for you. It'd be my honor, my privilege to just take a moment here. I call on the energy of Archangel Raphael and Ascended Master Jesus to transmit to you the energy that you're open and receptive and ready to receive at this time. Because you must, with an open heart, be ready to receive it. So we give you and offer you that grace of healing. Yes. I'm being told to tell you to drink a little. Anytime you feel ache in your tooth, to drink water. If you've got a toothache, drink a bit of water, drink a bit of water, drink a bit of water. That's the body trying to flush things out. You'll know, a lot of people will notice in their teeth, you get toothaches for no apparent reason. It's because you're probably dehydrated. But yeah, they'll send that over to you right now. Yeah. You can't choose more of the positive and less of the difficult. You can choose more of the positive and less of the difficult. And you can choose more of the difficult and less of the positive. That's a beautiful way to put that, Daniela. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. So those of you that have been celebrating death and murder and living in uncontrolled anger and rage, there's redemption is still available for you. The choice to love still exists for you. Right? It still exists for you. It always will. It'll just be harder. The further you go down the rabbit hole of darkness, the harder it is. Oh, you're very welcome, Mary. Really appreciate it. I'm just going to scroll up here. Hi, TikTok, Facebook. Remember, tap the screen, give the screen loves, likes, and whatever you can to get the channel out to more people, get this information out to more people. Either you're awake in fear or truth. That's right. That's absolutely true. Hello there too. That's beautiful. Hi, Amanda. Good to see you, darling. He was killed because of talking out against Bibi and the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. Yes, there are other reasons behind it, but understand the reasons behind it are still the same. There are the dark ones on this planet, and there are those of the light. There is good and there is evil. But understand that what's been awakened now cannot be put back to sleep again. It can't be put back to sleep. They've let the genie out of the bottle and they can't get it back in. Right? God bless. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. I knew when people were lying to me, I would look at them and they would stammer. That was neat. Yeah. It's funny. I've reached out to over 150 people that were celebrating the murder of a godly man. And not one of them has gotten back to me. When I said, what what did he say? What did he do that was misogynistic? What did he say? What did he do that was racist? What did he say? What did he do? Because what you say and what you do should be congruent, right? And not one of them's gotten back to me because they've been conditioned through conventional education by insane and demonic teachers. I mean, you look at the list of professors that were celebrating and saying it was a good. This is what you're teaching. You're teaching in a university and a college. You're teaching hatred, that it's okay to celebrate the murder of a man and a father. That's not love. And if you can't see that that's not love, then you're going to be reaping the effects of fear. Watch what you're being taught. Question it. Don't be afraid to question it. Anyway, hi, Amanda. Thank you for that super chat. Really appreciate it. May I ask what was happening when I was sitting in a course on Saturday where the walls got bigger, like the class turned into a temple? That's exactly what happened. It sounds like you were initiated by the divine. It sounds like an initiation to me, Amanda. At least that's what I'm getting. You literally are, you were saying, the brain interprets energy on the level that it's at. And if your brain, your eyesight is actually perceiving these changes in the world around you, it's because it's changing within you. You literally did ascend through initiation to a higher temple of consciousness. That's really wonderful, Amanda. Congratulations. Kimberly, thank you for that super sticker. Really appreciate that. Thank you so kind. Very much appreciated. Hi. I thought the light already won. Why wasn't Charlie protected? Understand, Charlie was protected by God, by Christ. And if you know Charlie from his speaking, I don't know him personally, but I've watched enough of him over the years to know that he understands that it wasn't about his body. It was about speaking the truth that would set people free to return to God's love. That's fundamentally what he was doing. You do not die when the body ceases to exist. You go into a dimension of consciousness that is reflective of the state of being that you are. And I can assure you, Charlie was taken to the Most High and has returned here energetically to continue assisting his wife and many others that are now rising up to assert the wisdom, the knowledge, and the truth of God that they receive in their hearts. Because there's a lot of people now getting downloads from the divine. It's going to happen on a scale we've never seen before. Mediumship is a natural function. Jesus was a medium. He spoke directly to the divine. Moses spoke to the divine. They were mediums. Elijah, many other wonderful beings. Noah spoke to the divine, received his dispensation, and shared it with the world. And there are many of those that live in the light and the love of Christ and of God that are, in fact, going to be receiving divine inspirations. Many millions of people are going to be getting their divine inspirations and sharing it with the world. Many millions more than were before, right? So understand that God has a plan. An all-knowing, all-powerful intelligence cannot make a mistake. Take faith, take heart in that, okay? That an all-knowing intelligence is incapable of making a mistake. And so the reasons why people say and do things, there's a consciousness behind that that's greater than what any man thinks. Even the dark ones cannot escape the hands of and the influence of the divine. They cannot. It's a really beautiful thing. But thank you for that sentiment. It's a wonderful thing. Yes, there's thousands of fathers in Gazas. I mean, any form of murder is wrong. Period. Even wishing death upon another is wrong. And in my earlier years, I was guilty of that. I've done evil things. I've lived an evil way in my past. And I saw where it was taking me. And thank goodness this wonderful change in my life I've had in the last 15 years. And these last 7 years of having Jesus and Buddha and others coming and speak to me I still have a long way to go, but at least when you're taking the when you're listening to the words of the masters, and I do read the Bible, read Yogananda's book, Diary of Yoga. Read some of the wisdom and knowledge of other men that have ascended, and you'll go through a big change. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you for that. I'm so glad. Thank you for the healing energy, William. I was in tears when I saw Charlie being murdered. I had to get away from my social media for a while. I understand that, but understand it was a horrible event. When you see what's going on, also it's an amazing time. And I know Charlie, if he were here, to say, look at what this is doing. And I yes, I will. Thank you. He would say quite simply that God worked through me, and just because I left my body, he has not stopped working through me, because now he works through everybody else that's living that has heard my word. And my word was of God, and my word was of Christ, and that's what he would say to you right now. And that now that word lives in you, and it lives in me, and it lives in anybody who wants to make the choice of love over fear. Being a medium has its benefits, but also it can be really challenging. Sometimes you feel the energy of these wonderful beings, and it's humbling. It's amazing. And so he would say, don't get angry at them, but speak louder the truth. Speak it from the rooftops. Make sure your truth is evidence-based. Make sure your truth is based in fact, not fantasy and fiction. Make sure that when you speak, you ask that the divine be present with you in your words, and that you are here to serve love. You are here to serve love. But do not go down the path of anger or rage. Continue to communicate with each other. Continue to ask those that would oppose you for the evidence of their truth, while you provide them the evidence of yours. Keep reasonable, open debate alive. Keep it alive. It is how we will heal humanity. We will not heal humanity with anger and rage. You cannot heal the world with anger and rage. You can only heal the world with truth and love. That is the only way. That is the only way that you will heal this world, is through truth and love. And that's what he wants you to remember. Continue the communication, the dialogue, even if it's uncomfortable. Even if it's uncomfortable. And make certain that your truth is based in factual evidence that you can validate and verify. Do not just say something off the top of your head. Make certain that it's based in fact, historical or otherwise. And know that if those that oppose you cannot provide you with that, then they are standing on sand. Whereas truth and love, you stand on a rock. In fear, you stand on sand. Thanks, Charlotte. Thank you. Oh, the last time I felt this was when Jesus came to me for the very first time. And that was pretty amazing too. So I'm going to just say, those of you that live in fear, I love you. Those that have celebrated his murder, I give you what love and grace I can to you, for I know that you suffer in ignorance. I know you suffer in ignorance. And I would simply offer you my love and simply say, evaluate your thoughts, evaluate your choices, return to the functional truth of love and not the hyperbolic, emotionalized, sensationalized, radicalized presentations of fear that you've been given by your environmental systems. Again, I want to thank the Ascendant for being present with us today, and Charlie coming in for that brief period of time. So when you meet him, when you connect to a soul that is very connected to the divine, it's an amazing experience. And I wish that on any one of you, that you can connect to the divine in yourself. Because when you feel the God, when you feel God within you, feel Christ within you, when you feel Buddha within you, or Yogananda, and these wonderful divine beings, it's mind blowing. And everyone is different. Jesus is not the same as Buddha. Buddha is not the same as Yogananda. They're different individual beings, but they align to the same heart. And Charlie was like them, is like them now, always, and has been for a number of years. Anyway, God bless him and wish him well. His family, all of them, and all of you, those of you that have done evil, you need our love the most. Those that are already living in love, remember that. Those that do evil need love. They're disconnected from it. They're lost in it. Remember that. Thank you. I think a sip of tea is in order here. Thank you. I'll take a few more questions. So I'm shaking because I feel the energy of all these beings coming in much stronger than ever before. Oh, you're very welcome. Yes. Well, Jesus was always with Charlie. He's with everybody. When you understand the nature of multidimensional consciousness, when you understand what it means to unite with God, then you'll understand how is it possible for Jesus to be with so many millions of people? How is it scientifically possible? From a perspective of the body, it is not possible for, well, I can't say that, but I'm going to say that for the sake of this communication. You cannot physically be in two places at once, but your consciousness can. And Master Jesus, Buddha, Yogananda, Charlie will learn this as he's being instructed in a very different way now. He'll learn this ability to be in multiple places at the same time, and inspire you and guide you if you're open and receptive to it. But in consciousness, you can expand your awareness to cover a great, vast area of space and time with your consciousness. In that sense, the Ascended Master Jesus and many others can be energetically present with you in your own unique situation. Those praying to Jesus in Africa, or Buddha, or whomever they're praying to, their deities, those deities have ascended their consciousness to a state of being where they're able to encompass more time and space in the experience of their perception. Which means, just like you can be aware of all the fingers on your hand, their consciousness allows them to be aware of the consciousness of people, many people that are communicating in alignment with them, connected to them. When you connect to a divine entity, that divine entity connects to you, and it can connect to others without limit or restriction on its consciousness. All right. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can feel him, Amanda. He's a beautiful man. I was going to say, I almost had a thought that now I've met him. Not just through the videos I've watched, but I've just met his spirit, his soul. He's a beautiful soul. Yes, I will. I'm still in love, but weeping over Charlie. Yeah, he's grateful for that. But listen, it's really important that you carry on the work of restoring people to love. And and Charlie's words were always to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, which is God. Okay, that would be the words he would tell you, and I'm varying that slightly by saying simply that his whole goal was to help you return to love. That's his whole purpose, to return humanity to love, right? Because that's what Christ wants. That's what Jesus stated, to return you to heaven. And the kingdom of God, he said, was here and now. And that here and now exists in the function of love. Fear does not live in the present moment. It lives in anticipation of an unpredictable future. Yes. So I want to say I'm really grateful for all of you that have come here, that come here every day when we come live. How much I appreciate it, and what when you share this information or these ideas with the people, it helps them. But like what we've been taught is, it's important that you have evidence for what you say, right? People have asked me what evidence do I have that these non-physical beings exist? And I simply say, well, listen, I can take this glass of water, which is very, very physical. It's a physical thing. I can take it, and then I can take this water and I can put it in a pot and boil it, and then that water will disappear. The physical disappears. It changes frequency. That's what happens to the human soul at the moment of physical death. You leave the physical frequency vibration. You go into a non-physical dimension. That invisible water that just evaporated, if I take a special plate and put it in the air that's cooler than the air around it, it will cause things to condensate on it. And you'll see the water droplets condensate back down. So that which was physical that became non-physical can eventually come back, and the concept of reincarnation is based on that. But you do not cease to exist with the end of your physical body. Nobody does. Hi, Jenny Justice. What happened that old world architecture that is here now that cannot be replicated and is partially buried? Can we get an explanation of what happened to that civilization? Yes, that civilization faced a very similar situation that we as humanity are currently facing. There was a massive, well, the story, if you want to look at it biblically, there was literally the end of a world. Humanity diverted from love and moved so far towards fear that the world changed. So the function of fear orchestrates our behavior very differently than the function of love. And we had a whole civilization, not just one, but over the last 72,000 years, there have been multiple significant civilizations. Amongst them are Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu. The proof of Atlantis has been finally beginning to emerge. But these great civilizations rose. Some of them, like Atlantis and Lemuria and Mu, which stand out the most, survived the longest because their function of love lasted longer. But each of those civilizations ultimately fell because they deviated from love to fear. The functions of, as technologies evolve, what tends to happen, things get more readily available to people, and people want more and want more and want more. Greed takes over. And then once greed takes over, power and control and authority come into play. When power, authority, and control come into play, then you don't care about anybody else but yourself, right? And that's what's historically happened. These civilizations collapse under the manifestation of the energy of fear becoming prevalent in their civilization. You know, the person that shot Charlie Kirk was living in a deep state of fear. Fear propagates certain actions. The ultimate, the lowest vibrational state of fear is hate. And the actions of hate at its pinnacle is mass murder or murder. Which is why Hitler lived in an ultimate state of hatred. That's why he murdered so many people. He lived in a state of hatred. But the same can be said true for anybody that murders. To get to that place where you believe you have to murder someone, you have to be in a state of hatred. So the short answer to that is those civilizations, what they call the Tartarian Empire, was not destroyed or overrun. It reached a point where greed, power, authority, and control took the reins of the civilization and just drove it into the ground, right? And as a result, there was an event there is an astronomical event, or we can say an astrophysical event, that, remember, the physical world reacts and responds to qualities of emotion. So your behavior, if it's joy, causes a physical reaction in your body. And that reaction is not limited to your body. It radiates out from your body and induces matter, time, and space to react and respond subtly. When those emotions are propagated sufficiently, then the functions of love will cause things to happen in the world. So too, our fear does the same thing. So people collectively got into a lot of greed and fear and power and control and deceptiveness, evil. It took reins. And then the world, the environment reacted and responded. And there was I'll use the term conflagration. There's other terms you can use for it. A reset that happened because of the shift in human collective energy at that time. So that's what happened to the Tartarian Empire. And it's what happened to many great empires: Lemuria, Mu, Atlantis, Eden. Yes. Question: are the dark ones behind the new money system? I don't think so, but I've been wrong before. What I've gotten from that, Drusilla, is that the new money system, nobody can hide what they're doing financially. The old financial system allowed governments, political individuals, people in positions of authority and power to steal billions and trillions of dollars for their own gain and benefit. The digital world, because it's on blockchain, prevents people from moving things around without it being recognized. Because once it's on the blockchain, it's a permanent record. So yeah, every transaction, every government penny, everything we spend as individuals will be tracked. And it will hold us all accountable. We need to be accountable. Governments need, especially governments and politicians who are supposed to serve the people but have been only serving themselves, they will not be able to hide like they did. COVID was the last big way they could steal trillions of dollars from the people. That was the last big scam. Well, the climate change scam is another one too, right? Those two scams have been used to steal money and funnel it into projects where money get into somebody's pocket and somebody else's pocket, my friend's pocket, that friend's pocket. And blockchain is going to prevent that. It's going to force a level of integrity that's never been available in our financial systems in this iteration of human society. Hi. Yeah. Hi. Hello, William. Hi, Maria. Good to see you, Loretta. Any message about the ancestral sound healing session I did on Sunday? I heard a snapping noise when I called in my loved ones. Felt like a porthole opened, and I wasn't in my room. Well, congratulations. Yes, that's what happened. But the snapping sound you heard was breaking a negative covenant that had been in your family system for several generations. That snapping sound you heard, a negative covenant was broken. There's going to be a movement in freedom in your life that you've never experienced in this lifetime. A whole new, I'll say for you, it'll be a renaissance because that negative covenant has finally been broken. Wonderful. Congratulations. Hi. I wonder if his wife and children. It doesn't matter to me whether Charlie's wife and children hear about me. That they already know he's not dead. They know he's with Jesus. That's who Charlie worked with exclusively in this dimension. He worked specifically with Master Jesus, and they know he's with him. Like he knows, and he is with his wife, and he is with his children energetically. He's not going anywhere for a while. He's gonna be with so many other people here. All those people you see waking up around the world that were celebrating him, he is in their heart too. And Christ is in all their hearts as well. And it's an amazing thing. Yeah. It's not important for me that they hear about me. What's important is that they continue to honor the work. And that I know that his wife is definitely going to do that. Hi. You're welcome. Well, I think hi, David. Do I have a spiritual team around me? This eclipse period is very challenging. Yes, David, everybody has a spiritual team around them. Some people, like Charlie, worked exclusively with Master Jesus. And a lot of people work exclusively with Master Jesus, but there's lots of people that work with Ascended Master Yogananda. And there's lots of people that work with the energetic energy of Master Buddha. So you get to define whether or not you're going to dedicate yourself to one teacher or another, or you're going to have multiple teachers. I have opened up to multiple teachers. I tend to favor more Ascended Master Jesus and Ascended Master Yogananda and Buddha. I prefer to interact with their energy more than anybody else's, but I've had many others. So you can define and decide who you want to learn from. You can ask for the energy of Aristotle to come to your heart. You can ask for the energy of Plato, or Immanuel Kant. There's Master Saint Germain. You can ask for these beings to come and work with you. They will, because the beings that you're referring to are all beings that are based in love. And I highly encourage you to, those of you that are living in love already, to call upon your ascended masters to guide you and give you inspiration and insight. But again, I want to come back to the most important thing from today is this. Those of you that celebrate murder and death of any individual, I pray for you in the way that my heart can do that. And that prayer is that you find your way back to love and grace, that you surrender the anger, the fear, the rage that fills your heart, that you surrender it and let that be replaced by the love of God, the love of Buddha or Jesus or Christ or whoever master that you think is the embodiment of love. But let your consciousness shift from your fear to love, because you weren't born hating. You weren't born celebrating death. You were taught to celebrate death. You were taught to hate. And not one of you has come forward that I've sent out a message to and given me any proof or evidence of what you've accused this godly man of having done. You've said it, but you've never offered proof. But you've been given words by your professors, by your teachers, by your friends, and in order to belong, you agree with them. Stop it. Unite with love, not with fear, not with anger. And I'm going to wish all of you, in whatever way you can, support the channel. Remember, we got our upcoming masterclass, 101 Awakening, which is a course that will introduce you to the processes and practices of meditation, connecting to your guides, connecting to your angels, ascended masters, other multidimensional beings, your loved ones. You can learn to tune into their presence. You can learn to teach your mind and body to be what you need them to be instead of being subjective to them. Your mind and body are meant to be your servants, not your masters. Go to my website, WilliamMichaelForbes.com, and check out our upcoming schedule for masterclasses. And I'll look forward to seeing many of you there, where you will come and you will learn how to connect to your guides and your angels. You'll find a love and a peace inside yourself that's always been there, but you have to open that door to let that part of yourself live and breathe again. You'll learn about how to quiet the mind and body. You'll learn how to do wonderful things. I wish you all the love in the world today. Go to my website, check that out, and we'll see you guys. That's going to be starting October the 10th. And that's Masterclass 101 Awaken. The orientation starts on October the 10th. And it's going to be an interesting and wonderful 3 weeks. The course is 3 weeks long. A 3-week course, and you'll be working with 2 other mediums and a nutritional expert, holistic nutritionist that is our expert in helping you eat high vibrational foods. So have yourselves a joyful day, and remember, we are now on the pivotal point, what Charlie would call the turning point of consciousness, from fear, humanity shifting from fear to love as an act of our own free will. And remember, those that live in love already, it's those that do not live in love that need your word of love. They need your inspiration, they need your guidance, they need your compassion, they need your patience, they need you to guide them back to truth. And to that, I say, let's do it. Much love, everybody. Bye for now. Take care.